Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à ce forum d'Arrière-scène de l'Orchestre classique de Montréal. Je me présente, mon nom est Andrei Feher et je suis le directeur musical de ce merveilleux orchestre depuis quelques mois maintenant. Il me fait un grand plaisir de pouvoir partager, de pouvoir discuter du prochain concert qu'on aura à la salle Pierre-Mercure jeudi le 12 mars à 19h30. Les billets sont sur notre site internet à orchestre.ca et nous avons en fait tous les invités, tous les trois solistes qu'on aura avec nous pour cette belle soirée de musique polonaise et pas seulement, mais autour de la Pologne et des différentes liaisons que chacun a avec soit le répertoire ou qui soient polonais eux-mêmes. Donc, nous avons aujourd'hui Karoline Podolak, soprano, Kornel Wolak, clarinettiste, et Jean-Philippe Sylvestre, piano. Um, if I start, I could start with Cornell just because you have a connection with the piece we're going to play and with the orchestra as well because you played it with the orchestra. You even recorded it, so it's kind of interesting. Always an interesting experience to go back to something you played, and especially it's a new piece, quite recent piece, so it's even more interesting to play it again because what we all do know is that we do a lot of premieres, but it's also important to replay stuff that we played it for the first time. Sometimes it doesn't get to, but you know, it's important to get pieces, modern pieces, to get played. Maxime Goulet is the composer of this wonderful piece, Histoire de pêche. So let maybe you could talk about how it was premiered first time, and maybe your adventure with the recording and taking this piece back again with our orchestra.
Oh, with pleasure. That's a wonderful question because me and Maxime we go way back. I believe we met in 2013 here in Toronto, where his piece um, "A Day of from Extraordinary Life," something like that. The composition was performed at the Glengould studio under Boris Brod, and this is where I met Maxime, and I said, your compositions are fantastic. I would love to play a piece by you. And he was like, and who are you? And this is how it started. And so we had a great chat in the lobby of the Glengould studio. And then soon after, he calls me and he says, Cornel, Boris commissioned a piece from me, and I want it to be a clarinet piece, and I have questions for you. And then we started workshopping the idea, and it was super funny from the beginning. Maxime has a wonderful sense of humor, but he's also a very serious person. So I still have a picture where he has a plunge, like the one that you push your like a sink when it gets
Uh-huh.
stuck, and he has the plunge, and he's showing me with the plunge, mimicking the clarinet, what I will be doing on stage. I still have that picture.
How clean was the plunge?
Oh well,
Yeah.
the good thing about Zoom was that I couldn't tell by smell, so it was pretty
Yes.
good. So, anyways, he was showing me, and you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But then he finished, sends me the score, and then the score, the concerto is a wonderful mix of super tight way of composing, like great motivic work, beautiful, sections of the piece, very, very humorous piece. It is actually based on the story of the novel The Old Man and the Sea,
Hmm.
where then supposedly in Maxime's mind, the novel ends and the young boy hops into the boat and goes into the ocean to the sea to catch his own fish. And the clarinet is that boy. And it requires paddling while playing and
Hmm.
requires throwing the net, like trying to catch the fish.
Yeah.
So the clarinet is the fishing rod. And when I saw the score for the first time and all of the story behind, I was like, how is this even going to work? And then I arrive in Montreal, and then he brings a boat, maybe a green big boat that is actually on stage, and
Hmm.
and then he had a choreographer designing some of the moves, and it went crazier from there. So we since then we played it in Montreal. Then we premiered it, and then we played it with Boris at his music festival here in Ontario. and then Broad Music Festival.
Hmm.
And then I took it to South America. I performed it with two orchestras down south. People loved it. Absolutely, it's super universal because the
Yeah.
story, people know it. Then I took it to Poland. I performed it there, and surprisingly enough, um, we recorded it. I believe last year there was a
Hmm.
beautiful CD that received Juno award, and the concerto is on
On
that
the sea.
CD. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very very excited to play this piece again and under your baton,
I mean,
Andrei.
this is incredible because Peace was premiered 4, 5 years ago.
The piece actually was premiered, I think, in 2014.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, but I mean, even then, it's you played it a lot already, so it's
Yes,
good
I
to
tried to
have.
take it everywhere I could because I'm super honored by Maxime dedicating it to me and dealing with my inadequacies at the beginning, trying to be a clarinetist fisherman, and meeting all of his requirements and playing the right notes. And there's a lot to play in this piece, even though it's not very, very long, but there's just a
No,
lot
and
to
it's what's interesting is that it's good music, and it's also it doesn't the staging doesn't shadow the music. It's
know.
not just to make a fuss about it, but it actually makes the music even more interesting and funny, as you said, because it's not too much, it's just enough of it, so it's actually making something very, very, very interesting. But yeah, he's composing very good music, so it's good to have this nice little piece on the program. We'll come back to maybe to for the recording part because it's a different kind of it's a different fish, doing a concert and doing a recording. But if we move to Karoline, you are it's this is a strange program because you are singing a few little things. It's not all in the same style, all the same period as well. So, what's I guess what's the how do you approach this usually, and how you manage your voice, and how you see these things? Because a recital, it's a you prepare it, if you sing a half hour or 50 minutes, it's a different thing. So, but this is a very different context for you. So how do you approach this?
Yeah, definitely. Because so the Sempre Libera, for example, Verdi, that is, one of the iconic operatic arias, and it requires, very strong technique. There's that lyric part, and then the caballetto is like, a roller coaster, very virtuosic. And so I actually feel very comfortable in that because it's, what I usually do. And I love singing Violetta. So that for me will feel, I always have to maintain that technique and, that practice always has to be there. But then when I go to like Zuja's aria from Verbum Nobile, so that's also romantic, but it's like the Polish national opera romantic with like Polish folk elements, and it's much more lyric. It requires like I think a richer sound. That's what I go for, just a different color. And because of the language, I really love singing Italian, and some people love singing in Polish. I do too, but it's a little challenging in the sense that, the language is there's a lot of consonants, and there can be like a danger of kind of letting those words be too like shallow in the mouth. I don't know if that's the right way to explain it, but like you want to keep it back and have that opening. So yeah, with that one, it's just a very different approach, and it's more reflective, very sincere, that aria. So it's a quite a contrast from Sempre Libra. And then with the Kilar, vocalese, that's also very different in the sense that with that one, I kind of have to really approach it with like a more of a head voice to allow that floating.
Hmm.
And it is very it is more of like a modern composition because it's from a film score, so there is even like a crossover element. It's not fully operatic, but you still need that technique because it is like, yeah, to achieve that beauty you need to really have that like very specific approach. So that's how I've been,
Yeah.
looking into it.
And this is a no a detail that maybe people don't know about, but you have to think in which order and how you put this in a concert, because you actually wrote us to trying to change the order. And it's always I was trying to get the arch right for the program, But in the middle, you can actually play with things and see how it's more comfortable for you because, we could have, the original plan was to have Verdi and, what was the second one? Was the
I think
Kila
Hilar was
together?
first, and then
Yeah,
Verdi. Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Hmm.
And it's completely different, two different things. So that's why, we changed it because it's not exactly the same. And, actually, it's also, how do you take an opera aria so strong as the Sempre Libera
Hmm.
and find your way into the character, but just for those few minutes and very quickly? Because it's in the, it comes very early in the opera as well, and it's such a strong moment as well.
Hmm.
How do you manage to just get into that zone right away and just for a few minutes?
Yeah. And you mean for the Sempre Libera, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, I think maybe it really does help that I've performed the role.
Mhm.
So I just kind of like imagine I'm on an operatic stage in my costume and in character, which is not always, possible in an audition or a concert setting. But I guess it's just, I don't know, I just kind of like get in the zone and I'm just like imagining the props as I've seen them in the past or just make it up, That's like part
Mhm.
of the preparation. So much of opera singing, it's, half acting really and half the voice. So
Yeah.
that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, if I take this little detail about Paris and I move to Chopin,
Yeah.
Jean-Philippe, euh, comme on s'est parlé brièvement
Oui,
juste avant
oui,
d'enregistrer, on s'est déjà rencontrés, mais ça fait quelques années de ça,
oui,
à Paris justement.
exact.
Euh,
Tu as bien réussi à faire le lien Paris, Chopin, j'en sais parfait.
Mais en fait, ce que j'ai réalisé récemment, c'est qu'il y a un film assez récent sur Chopin qui est en français et en polonais que j'ai vu récemment aussi, là. Et j'ai comme réalisé, ma tête était dans du Schumann il n'y a pas très longtemps, puis j'ai vraiment réalisé qu'il y a beaucoup de compositeurs qui ont vécu à peu près le même nombre d'années, c'est-à-dire pas beaucoup à cette
C'est ça,
époque-là, parce qu'il y avait beaucoup de maladies, puis beaucoup de
c'est ça.
choses qui circulaient. Puis Chopin, c'en était un qui est mort de la tuberculose, relativement jeune aussi. Et les concertos écrits très tôt dans sa vie aussi, là, autour de 19, 20, 21 ans, là, les deux concertos. Euh, J'imagine que tu as joué les deux.
Ça dépend ce que tu entends par jouer. Le fa mineur, je les ai travaillés beaucoup, mais
Mhm.
le fa mineur, c'est la première fois que je le fais en public officiellement. Mais
Ah.
comme je disais, j'ai fait une entrevue la semaine passée pour le journal. Tu sais, Chopin, quand même, c'est ma vie pas mal. Tu sais, dès l'âge de 4, 5, 6 ans, j'en jouais, comme première balade de Chopin. Je viens justement de la jouer à Philharmonie de Varsovie. Ça fait partie de moi, Chopin. Donc, que ce soit une nouvelle pièce, tu sais, ça change pas tant de choses que ça, parce qu'on comprend un peu l'univers. Ouais, c'est ça que je veux dire, voilà.
Oui, c'est ça. Puis je dois dire que pour un, pour un instrumentiste, puis de niveau du côté de l'orchestre, Chopin, c'est pas
Non,
nécessairement
hein?
le plus touffu au niveau de l'orchestration. C'est pour ça, en fait, que
Exact.
les concertos se font bien souvent avec des
Oui,
cordes aussi, parce que des vents, ils sont que dans les tout-petits, là, puis la plupart du temps, c'est vraiment juste un accompagnement de cordes qui met un tapis sur le, qui,
absolument.
qui enrobe le piano.
Oui.
Euh, Comment c'est vrai que puis en tant que violoniste aussi, Chopin, il y a tellement de piano puis de répertoire de piano que c'est pas nécessairement quelque chose qu'il faut vraiment se mettre le nez là-dedans pour en écouter, pour découvrir ça, parce qu'il n'y a pas de musique de chambre, il n'y a pas
Exact.
en tout cas pour les violonistes, il n'y en a pas. Mais comment euh, comment ça se transpose, mettons, toute sa musique pour piano, comme tu dis, il y a beaucoup de styles qui, qui reviennent dans le concerto aussi, notamment le troisième
Oui.
mouvement. C'est très dansant aussi, là.
Ben, en fait, regarde, c'est super pertinent comme question. C'est chaque compositeur, évidemment, ont leur univers. Chopin, je ne sais pas c'est quoi le bon mot, mais comment qu'on dit ça, dont je suis ému, je pense carrément, de ce qu'il a réussi à composer. Je comprends vraiment pas, honnêtement. Je trouve ça juste magnifique. Puis je comprends même pas comment ça, que quelqu'un peut avoir autant d'idées comme ça qui fonctionnent. Et moi, mon approche vraiment, c'est super intéressant. Ben, j'en parlais récemment beaucoup à d'autres collègues, professeurs, directeurs d'école à Paris et à Varsovie. Moi, je l'approche vraiment poétique. C'est ça que je pense que, en tout cas, qui est très important pour moi. Puis comme je disais à l'entrevue la semaine dernière, je le vois beaucoup, ça dépend dans quoi, mais des fois vraiment salon un peu. Tu sais, comme je viens de jouer au musée Jacquemart, à la balade, puis la fantaisie impromptue, puis ça fitait tout à fait avec l'espèce d'ambiance chaleureuse. Puis c'est peut-être même pour ça aussi que les concertos, l'accompagnement, comme tu disais, est moins lourd, pour justement peut-être que ça reste plus intime. Je pense qu'on est beaucoup là. Donc, Chopin, vraiment, moi, je trouve qu'il y a vraiment, c'est unique, la poésie et la magie qu'on peut aller chercher là. Voilà. Puis je l'approche vraiment, évidemment, comme tout ce que j'approche, très personnel. Puis j'assume. Puis je dis souvent au public, si vous aimez pas ça, tant mieux. Et si vous aimez ça, tant mieux. Ce que je veux dire, c'est que, tu sais, les goûts, ça se discute. Donc, je fais l'effort, tu sais, de respecter le texte, mais je veux vraiment y donner une couleur à moi poétique. Voilà.
Ah, ouais. Écoute, en autant qu'on puisse te suivre, là, ça va être parfait, ça aussi.
Ah, on va s'arranger, je suis pas inquiet.
Mais en fait, puis il y a un détail sur lequel je lisais récemment, c'est que c'est vraiment l'époque où il y a, on passe on finit par quitter un petit peu la musique de cour et d'église et tranquillement les espèces de stars solistes virtuoses qui apparaissent tranquillement. Tu as Paganini, tu as Liszt, tu as Chopin, t'as Clara Schumann aussi, tu as tous ces gens-là qui commencent à tourner puis à avoir vraiment une réputation internationale, ce qui n'était pas nécessairement le cas avant, comme ça. Fait que c'est vraiment une époque où tout commence à bouger, puis c'est vraiment, on se dirige vers ce qu'on va appeler les salles de concert tranquillement, puis
Certainement.
justement d'inviter les gens, puis de, d'apprécier la musique, parce que comme Chopin, c'est vraiment quelqu'un qui était tellement apprécié, puis tellement connu. Euh, je pense que je me dis des fois, c'est une personne aussi sensible à son environnement, ça devait être quasiment trop de vivre ça parce que c'était clairement quelqu'un qui était connecté à sa musique puis à son piano, puis que le reste, j'imagine, c'était trop bourdonnant puis euh, tout- peut-être trop intense parce que je sais qu'il enseignait beaucoup puis était très concentré là-dessus à partir d'un certain moment de sa carrière. Puis je pense que c'est peut-être aussi sa maladie qui l'a affaibli aussi pour
Mhm.
jouer trop souvent parce que tu sais, jouer devant. Ça se jouait même à cette époque-là, ça se jouait que pour 800, 900 personnes.
Exact.
J'imagine que ça devait être quand même une expérience assez intense. Um, if I just go back to the same order we had before with Cornell, no, you recorded it with the orchestra. This piece not that long ago, and as you said, this recording has won some a very the Juno Prize, which is it's a very good it's a very it's fun to have this, especially for contemporary music, for artists from here, and just having all this work that pays off as well because it's very important. And you said it, Maxim's music is very, for me, this is a perfect balance between new and also taking the traditional music and just making something out of it. So it's a very nice mixture. So how was the recording session? Just to have your experience on this, because again, the concert life, it's something which is very interesting, but the recording side of it is completely a different story.
Recording of this piece, because of Maxime's talent for writing very well structured music, was pretty straightforward because we were able to take particular chunks that are set to be in one particular mood,
Mm-hmm.
and because there wasn't any acting component, we could focus primarily on phrasing, music making, and colors, because there's a lot of beautiful colors throughout the piece, particularly in the lyrical sections
Mm-hmm.
that are very memorable. Maxime has this gift of writing things that can be very complex, but never complicated. And on top of the complexity that he delivers in his compositional style, he also makes it memorable when it comes to very melodic themes. I think this is very rare from my perspective for, in composers of younger generation who are always in search of their very, very unique language and sometimes going as far as being more and more and more abstract in their compositions. So it is equally satisfying to perform this piece for me as a performer, and as for the audience members who appreciate the beauty of the melodic phrases and themes and the fireworks that are in it, and
Yeah.
the acting on top. But recording of it was super straightforward and followed strictly just the music itself.
And
Therefore, it's quite pure.
where was it recorded? Which venue? Can you remember?
Yes, it was in the house of Montreal Symphony, Maison de Musique.
Okay. Maison Symphonique.
Sorry, Maison
Right.
Symphonique.
Oh, wow. That's, good. That's a
Yeah,
nice space.
oh, it's spectacular. The acoustics were great. The orchestra was phenomenal.
Yeah, so it's very interesting color as well to get the strings with the clarinet because it works very well in kind of it's clarinet is an instrument that can blend to many different things as well. You can use it as a kind of a more trumpet sound if you wish to, but you can also have this mellow and very velvet
Absolutely. And
sound. So it's very interesting.
Maxime has done a spectacular job of not copying the old masters, such as Brahms and Mozart, who wrote beautiful and iconic clarinet quintets, right? With string quartet and clarinet. He found his own sound, absolutely his own sound and his own ways of blending clarinet with the strings. He went as far as to using the orchestra in a unusual way. The musicians in the orchestra are making onomatopoeic sounds with their mouths, and it's supposed to illustrate the wind of the sea, and then certain flageolets, overtones on empty strings that's supposed to imitate the seagull's calls,
Yeah.
and techniques like that enrich the colors of the piece before even the clarinet comes in. So I have to say we are very lucky as clarinetists that we have this piece in our repertoire, and I really do hope that it will be known widely and performed widely. And I try to do all I could to promote this on 3 continents, and got some good reviews from some of these performances. And I'm very proud that this is a Canadian clarinet concerto that has been traveling around the world by now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're doing a great job also to just represent this and just putting this repertoire forward because again, I think this is one of those pieces that can travel very easily. And again, it's also important for a composer to get to for us as a player to know exactly what the composer wants, and it has to be very easily to read and not too complicated because, as you said, abstract it's sometimes gets too far and it's more complicated to read the part than to actually play it. So it's kind of it's good to have something original but also easy to read because it makes things very much more easier for everybody. If I move to Karoline, we are playing. You said a few words very quickly, but this Polish composer Stanislaw Moniuszko, if I'm correct. Very romantic music, an incredible piece of music as well. I didn't know the composer, and I just discovered it as well, and it's beautiful. And it's also I haven't thought about this, but you said it that it's singing in Polish is a different challenge, and I mean you are more used to than any other singer because you sing in Polish as well. But it must be very very different to take Italian or French compared to the Polish language. So how could you describe the music and maybe a little more detail on the way to singing or maybe the challenges you face singing this repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, fun fact, it was actually my Zuzia was my operatic debut in Poland. So it's very nice to be able to sing it in Canada. I never thought that would happen. And about Moniuszko, yeah, he is kind of considered like the father of Polish national opera, kind of like what Verdi is to Italians,
Mhm.
Moniuszko is to Polish people. And so in terms of singing like Polish repertoire, I mean, it's again, I always have to remind myself with the language to of course, like pronounce it properly, but yeah, place it properly. Um, because if not, it can actually tire you out as you're singing, right? And you never want to be tired when you're singing. So when it's placed properly, everything feels great,
Mhm.
right? And like besides the verbum, I also sing, for example, like Chopin's art songs, the set that he made for voice too, and it's kind of the same thing where I always have to like remind myself because of like the proper placement and pronunciation of the Polish, because then everything just like comes together properly. Um, and I hope that kind of answers your question, but it's just like it is always like a different challenge, but it's fulfilling to sing Polish repertoire. And yeah, I hope to do more of it. Yeah.
And it's also, I guess, something like Violetta, everybody knows the role more or less, and you know that everybody knows the challenges because it's in the repertoire for so long.
Mm,
Um, but this one, you have to learn it and you have to know what the corners are, what the challenges are by doing it because you don't know beforehand, not as easily as a huge other role. So it's a very have you encountered any challenges that weren't expected or you were surprised by it while doing it?
Specifically, like for the verbum nobile, I mean, when I first started learning it in my master's in Poland, well, it's interesting that you say because, like, yeah, with Violetta, there are so many. I like to listen to other interpretations as well, so I was able to, hear Callas singing Sempre Libra, and all the modern singers like Lisette or Opeza, and I just got to be, kind of pick out what I like. But with the Verbum Nobile, it's like it hasn't been done a lot at all. There's like barely any recordings out there, so I really had to kind of start. Like you're always kind of starting fresh with your own interpretation, but with this, it was really like a discovery of this music, and it is very unique. Just hearing the different sound that Polish opera provides. It's
Hmm.
just very unique, and I hope that it'll be more popular worldwide. And so, thank you again to for featuring this at
I
this
mean,
point.
this, I guess it helps me and everybody else to get to know the composer and just maybe dig in and discover other things. That's the beauty of it because you take 5 minutes and maybe you can discover some other things, and it's always good to listen to other things. And as a conductor, we always do and search for that. So it's good to have a new name in my list of composers. Jean-Philippe, peut-être juste une petite note. Rapidement, comment tu vois ça, vu qu'il n'y a pas l'orchestre complet, mais qu'il y a un ensemble à cordes relativement réduit, disons des
Mhm.
fois 60 cordes. Comment tu vois ça au niveau du jeu pour le piano?
Vraiment une super question. Ben, évidemment, je le vois beaucoup, beaucoup plus musique de chambre que concerto solo. En fait, je vais vraiment le savoir quand on va le commencer à répéter ensemble.
Ouais.
Mais tu sais, c'est drôle parce que je vois moi-même, quand je joue avec orchestre en solo, que ce soit un Rachmaninoff, j'ai ma façon, c'est-à-dire que je le vois même toujours aux musiques de chambre, puis vraiment un échange, tu sais, avec les musiciens, plus que le soliste fait ses choses. Donc, bon. Donc, pour ce Chopin-là avec vous, je pense que je vais peut-être même le faire encore plus. Euh, je vois ça vraiment intime, un peu plus salon, malgré que c'est un concerto. Tu sais, je me vois pas dissocier, comme ça, de l'orchestre. Je vois vraiment ça comme un beau moment de musique de chambre relativement intime. Ouais.
Ouais,
Donc,
ouais.
on va peut-être tamiser les extrêmes, faire moins de choses éclatantes, mais plus près du cœur, si je peux dire. Voilà.
Ouais, 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 effectivement. Puis cette musique-là est tellement intime aussi, justement, ça permet d'aller un peu plus loin dans.
Voilà.
Voilà, donc je pense qu'on a. on a fait le tour de tout ça. On a bien hâte de vous voir tous sur scène prochainement, dans 2 semaines, si je ne me trompe pas. C'est vraiment un plaisir de pouvoir partager ce programme-là parce qu'il y a tellement de couleurs et tellement de choses là-dedans. J'ai même pas, on n'a pas parlé de Weinberg, mais ça aussi, c'en est un que moi j'ai découvert récemment, puis c'est vraiment un compositeur exceptionnel. On va conclure là-dessus. Je vous remercie d'être là. Je vous remercie d'avoir participé à cette discussion.
Merci, André.
Ce sera jeudi, donc le 12 mars à 19h30 à la salle Pierre-Mercure du centre Pellado. Et tous les billets et toutes les informations que vous voulez retrouver sur notre site internet orchestre.ca. Et voilà, donc merci beaucoup. Thank you for being here and thank you for participating to this wonderful discussion. And I'm just looking forward to have fun and just beautiful music with all of you because there's a lot of very interesting music and different colors and different periods as well. So
Well, if
thank
I
you very
may
much.
say also heartfelt thank yous for inviting me to be part of this performance. I also wanted to say how important it is for Polish community to have the Polish culture recognized in such a beautiful and meaningful way by Orchestre Classique de Montréal and everyone behind this project. It's very important to everyone from our community. I got some emails and questions about it already. So it's very elevating, and my personal pleasure will be to perform with all of you on the same stage. So I really look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. It will be a pleasure.